Incredible 8-year-old girl discovers heartwarming strength to save police officer and K9 after catastrophic panic at autumn farmers market. The crisp autumn air buzzed with excitement as families bustled about the local farmers market, their laughter mingling with the cheerful chatter of vendors. 8-year-old Emma Bennett, her brown hair glinting like gold in the sun, watched with wide eyes, taking in the warm glow of her small Midwestern town. She felt the strength of her community all around her, a support system built from her mother's hard work as a waitress. Emma knew that love and resilience were threaded into the fabric of each neighbor's smile. However, when she spotted Officer Harris, respected protector of their town, struggling to control his K9 partner, Max, her heart raced. Max, a big, fluffy ball of fur, was tugging and pulling at the leash, still excited from the atmosphere. Officer Harris, his brow furrowed with concern, seemed overwhelmed. Emma felt an inexplicable urge to help. Memories of her mother encouraging her to be brave flashed through her mind. "You can do it, Em," she whispered to herself, taking a cautious step forward, but just as the market began to quiet down, disaster struck. With a sudden yank, Max broke free, bolting into the dense woods bordering the town. Panic erupted as worried voices spread through the crowd, and Officer Harris's eyes widened in fear. Everyone knew the stakes were high. Max wasn't just any dog, he was the beating heart of the community's safety. They had been struggling lately, and losing Max felt like losing hope. Emma swallowed hard, realizing that the growing anxiety was palpable. That group of older kids, convinced they were the only ones capable of leading a search, planned to scour the outskirts. But Emma's heart felt heavy. She thought about Max, about Officer Harris, and about what it meant to really belong to a community. It wasn't just about age or size, it was about heart. She gathered her closest friends, a motley crew of determined kids, their hearts mirroring hers. "Come on," she shouted, rallying her tiny army. "We have to search the woods." Though doubt loomed in her mind, were they too young? Were they brave enough? She pressed on. "We can do this." A part of her was still afraid, whispering that she might be too little to do something big. But then she remembered her mother's stories of bravery and how even the smallest acts could ignite hope. In that moment, Emma clenched her fists, determination lighting a fire within her. It was time to show everyone that courage comes in all sizes. As the sun dipped lower and shadows lengthened, Emma led her friends deeper into the woods, dread gripping her heart. The wind whispered secrets, and branches scratched against each other, like a heartbeat echoing her own. Every step felt like a leap into the unknown. Had her mother faced fears like this? "Max," she called, her voice cracking as she pushed through the underbrush. Then, as hope faded, a flash of brown fur darted between the trees. There he was. Max. With renewed courage, she whispered to herself, "This is for my town, for Officer Harris." Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Tension swirled in the air as her friends silently urged her forward. With each shaky breath, Emma stepped closer, knowing this was her moment. She had the strength of her community behind her, and she was determined to save both Max and Officer Harris's peace of mind. Was she ready? Could she truly show everyone that courage knows no age? The woods darkened around her, and Emma's heart thumped wildly, ready for an unforgettable challenge. The moment hung heavy in the fading light. Emma felt every heartbeat in her chest echoing her resolve. As she pushed further into the thicket, the sharp scent of damp earth mixed with the fresh scent of pine filled her lungs. Shadows danced around her, fleeting glimpses of movement drawing her gaze. She knew she had to stay focused. Max needed her. "Guys, stay close," Emma called over her shoulder. Her friends, a brave little band of kids, skittered behind her, eyes wide with a mix of excitement and fear. Even though they were on the verge of losing sight of why they were there, Emma's determination held them together. "Emma, what if we can't find him?" whispered Lily, her voice trembling slightly. Emma turned, sensing the doubt creeping in. "We will find him." Her words felt like a promise to all of them. "Remember, he's not just a dog to us. He's part of our home." The other kids nodded, rallying behind her once more. They marched deeper into the woods, daring the darkness to envelop them. Suddenly, a rustling noise made them freeze. "What was that?" whispered Kyle, his voice barely audible. Emma's heart raced. She focused her energy, channeling all her fears into a quiet confidence. "It could be Max. We need to check it out." They tiptoed closer, each snap of a twig beneath their feet sounding like thunder in the stillness. Emma raised her voice. "Max! Come here, boy." At first, there was only silence. Then, out of the shadows, a shape burst forth. An enormous furry body bounded towards them, tail wagging and tongue lolling, the very image of joy. "Max!" Emma shouted, her heart leaping. But then she noticed something. He was limping, favoring one of his back legs. Panic surged through her veins. "Oh no, Max!" Quickly, she knelt down to him, her hands brushing through the soft fur of his coat. "What happened, boy?" Her fingers felt the rapid beating of his heart beneath his warm fur, and the touch ignited an understanding in her. He was scared. Just like her, everyone surrounded Max, reaching out tentatively. "Is he okay?" Lily asked, worry knitting their brows together. "I think he's hurt," Emma replied, fighting back tears. The realization hit her hard. Max was their hero, their protector, and now he needed their protection in return. As they consoled him, Officer Harris's voice suddenly cut through the trees, calling Max's name, urgency spilling from his lips. Emma felt an electric combination of fear and relief. It meant they had to get Max back to him, but could she gather the courage to lead the way? "Officer Harris is close," Emma exclaimed, twisting the worry into determination. "We have to get him out of here." Her friends spread out, finding the safest path to guide Max back, but Emma acted like a shield, surrounding the dog as he hobbled along, staying close to his side. With every bend, her friends showed strength that amazed her. The thought of returning Max to Officer Harris spurred her on. She could almost see the officer's worried expression turn to relief. And then, just as they emerged from the trees onto the open field of the market, something caught Emma's eye. There, standing in the sunlight, was Officer Harris. His expression transformed from worry to pure joy the moment he spotted Max at her side. "Emma!" he called out, rushing toward them, eyes wide. But the moment of joy was short-lived. As he approached, Emma noticed something glistening in the officer's hand, a device she didn't recognize but could only assume was for emergencies. "What is that?" Emma wondered aloud, her heart racing with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Everything hinged in that moment. Could she trust this unexpected development? Would it aid their mission or complicate things more? The air buzzed with unanswered questions as anxiety crackled and excitement thickened, turning the atmosphere electric. With Max leaning against her, Emma knew that whatever lay ahead, she was ready to face it head-on, or was she? Would her bravery serve her well in this next challenge? The answer felt just out of reach. Emma stood frozen, staring at the device in Officer Harris's hand. It gleamed ominously in the fading light, catching her eye like a beacon but sending chills down her spine. Was it a tranquilizer? A tracking device? Her mind raced with scenarios, each worse than the last. "Emma, is Max all right?" Officer Harris's voice pulled her back. Despite the joyful reunion, concern shadowed his features. Emma watched worry etch lines across his forehead as he squatted down to Max's level. "He's hurt," Emma said, her voice trembling slightly. "He was limping when we found him." Officer Harris glanced at her determinedly. "We need to get him to the vet right away." His eyes darted from Max to the device in his hand. "And this will help." "What is it?" Emma pressed, feeling the weight of every second slip away. "It's a GPS locator," he explained quickly, a glimmer of reassurance breaking through the tension. "I'll attach it to Max's collar so we can keep track of him, especially if he runs off again. This way, we can ensure he stays safe." Emma's heart swelled with hope. "Good. But is he going to be okay?" Officer Harris's nod felt like a soothing balm. "Yes, he's tough. Just a little rest and we'll have him good as new." The other kids edged closer, their breaths collectively held. Max, shifting slightly, let out a worried whimper, and Emma reached out, stroking his fur softly. "You'll be okay, buddy. We're here for you." Max looked at her, eyes filled with trust. In that moment, Emma knew what it meant to be brave, not just for herself but for those she loved. "Let us get him to the car." Officer Harris rose, gently coaxing Max to stand with him. Emma matched his energy, taking the lead, her heart pounding with a mixture of adrenaline and fear. The path to the parking lot seemed longer than before. Each step echoed with her determination, each glance back at Max fueled her resolve. The woods had been a maze of shadows, but now, with the open sky above them, everything felt lighter. As they neared the car, an unmarked police SUV, Officer Harris pulled open the back door for Max, encouraging him inside. "Good boy," he said reassuringly. Emma watched nervously, her thoughts racing. Would he be okay? Would the vet help him? Just then, the silence was shattered by the sudden roar of a nearby engine. Emma turned sharply, seeing a truck skid to a halt across the street. A familiar face leaned out the window. Troy, the bully from school. "Hey, nerds!" he shouted, laughter bubbling in his voice. "What's the mutt doing? Playing rescue?" Emma's heart sank. This wasn't just a routine day. They weren't some nerds. This was personal. "Leave us alone, Troy!" she shouted back, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. "Oh, look! The little hero thinks she has something special." His words hung heavy in the air, oozing disdain. But just as her irritation rose, a sudden courage blossomed inside her. With Max and her friends beside her, she wasn't just any child. She was a protector. "Why don't you come say that to my face?" Emma challenged, stepping forward. Troy's laugh faded, and Emma felt the uncertainty in the air shift. The other kids flanked her side, standing strong. "Guys, help me," she pleaded, glancing at them. What happened next would not only define their day but change the way they understood friendship and bravery. Would they stand together against a bully? Could they transform this tension into something powerful? As she stood firm, a silence swept across the scene, thick with unspoken words and the weight of expectation. Emma felt the stakes rise. This moment could become more than just rescuing Max. She could assert her strength, not just for herself, but for everyone who had ever been belittled. And what if this fight for Max led to a fight for something much bigger? Would they find a way to turn fear into something that could inspire? With newfound resolve shining in her eyes, Emma swallowed back fear. The next move was hers, but what would it be? As Emma stepped forward, she felt the weight of her friends standing strong behind her. Their presence was a quiet reassurance, a reminder that bravery wasn't just a solo act. She took a deep breath, her chest tight, her heart racing with determination and fear. "Come on, Troy!" Emma shouted, her voice rising above the impending tension. "You think being a bully makes you tough? Try being brave like us." Across the street, Troy's expression changed. The mocking grin slowly vanished, replaced by a flicker of surprise. For a moment, he almost seemed to reconsider. Emma seized this opening. "We're not scared of you. Max may be hurt, but he's not alone and neither are we." The air crackled with a charged silence. The other kids shifted, glancing at one another, as if Emma's words had sparked something deeper. She could almost feel a shifting tide, like the moment before a storm when the winds change. "Yeah. Let us go." One of her friends put in, their voice ringing with newfound confidence. Troy scoffed, but the defiance in Emma's eyes made him uneasy. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just a little girl with a dumb dog," he retorted, but this time the laughter in his voice was weak, faltering against their collective strength. "Call us what you want," Emma replied, her voice steady. "We know what real friends are. We know what it means to stand up for each other. Can you say the same?" The group of kids behind her cheered softly, the sounds growing louder as they rallied together. Emma felt their energy stir inside her, a warm wave that chased away the lingering doubt. Troy's bravado began to crack, and instead of scowling, he fumbled for a retort. "Whatever. You're all just losers," he shouted, but even his voice had lost its sting. "Losers who save their pets and stand together." Emma's heart soared with each word. She pointed to Max, who lay resting against the car, still weary but undeniably alive with hope. "Max's not a loser. He's a hero, just like us." At that, a realization ignited within Emma. It wasn't just about standing up to Troy, it was about every other kid who had felt small or silenced. This was more than one moment, it was a chance to create change, to show that they all had worth. Troy clenched his fists, his face flushing. "You think you're so brave? Just wait until next time." With a loud screech of tires, he slammed the truck into gear and peeled away, leaving them in a cloud of dust. Emma and her friends erupted into cheers, laughter mixed with exhilaration. They had done it. They had stood tall, fought against the bullying, and emerged victorious. "Look at you, Emma. That was so awesome," one of them exclaimed, eyes wide with admiration. Emma smiled, her heart swelling. "We did it together. And we need to keep doing it." But the victory felt bittersweet. She couldn't shake the feeling that their bravery was just the beginning. As they climbed into the SUV beside Officer Harris, Emma turned to him. "Max is going to be okay, right?" Officer Harris smiled, his pride evident. "With your strength, Emma, I'd bet anything he will. You're all brave heroes today." As they drove off, heading towards the vet, Emma turned to Max, who looked up at her with those trusting, brown eyes. "You'll be all right, buddy," she whispered, gently scratching behind his ears. But as the excitement of the moment began to fade, a new thought gnawed at Emma's mind. What if they hadn't seen the last of Troy? What if he returned, looking for revenge? Emma's heart raced with the weight of uncertainty. She had tasted courage today, but would she be ready when it came time to face Troy again? The road ahead was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: whatever came next, they would face it together. What would they find waiting in the shadows of their next encounter? Emma sat in the back seat next to Max, who was now resting against her legs. The gentle hum of the engine mixed with the quiet chatter of her friends filled the SUV, but Emma's mind drifted. Even with the adrenaline still buzzing in her veins from their standoff with Troy, the looming question of what lay ahead made her uneasy. The vet's office came into view, a familiar sight, yet today it felt different. The air felt thicker, charged with anticipation. She glanced out the window, trying to shake off her worries. But there was a feeling she couldn't ignore, a knot forming in her stomach, rooted in fear of what Troy might do next. As they parked and climbed out, Emma spotted a group of kids playing nearby. Their laughter rang out like a sweet melody, a stark contrast to the tension knotting her heart. She longed to join them but knew that keeping Max safe came first. Inside the vet clinic, the smell of antiseptic mingled with the comforting scent of the soft blankets draped over the waiting area. Emma hugged Max close, feeling his warmth and heartbeat stead against her. The past hours played over in her mind, and she felt a mix of protectiveness and fear surge through her. If Troy wanted to hurt anyone, it would be Max. "Emma," Officer Harris said, crouching down next to her, "you've got a good heart, you know that? Max can feel it, and so can everyone else around you." His words sparked warmth in her chest. "But what if he comes back? What if he's planning something?" Emma's voice crackled slightly, betraying her worry. Officer Harris gave her shoulder a reassuring squeeze. "Sometimes, facing fears is the bravest thing we can do. But remember, you have a whole team standing with you. You're never alone in this." Just then, the vet walked into the waiting room. Her smile was bright, easing some of Emma's fears. "Max is going to be just fine. He needs some rest and maybe a few snacks. But he is a strong boy." A wave of relief washed over Emma. She had fought for Max, and now she felt she was being rewarded for it. Just then, the door swung open, and in walked Troy, flanked by two older boys. Darkness flooded back into the room, snuffing out the light Emma had just felt. "Look who it is," Troy sneered, a grin twisting across his face. "The little hero. Maybe this time, I'll show you what real strength looks like." Emma's heart pounded. It felt like time stopped for a moment. Her friends instinctively stepped closer, gathering behind her, but the fear gripped Emma. She was scared, but it was time to remember what Officer Harris said: to stand firm together. "Try me, Troy," she called out, her voice trembling but fierce. "You think your strength means something? Hurting someone who can't fight back isn't brave, it's just sad." The air hung heavy between them, like a fragile thread ready to snap. Troy stepped closer, and Emma's breath quickened. But then she looked down at Max, his loyal eyes reflecting her courage back at her. "Enough!" she shouted, surprising even herself. "You can hurt me, but you can't hurt him. He is my friend, and that makes me stronger than you." At that moment, what started as echoes of fear transformed into a wave of defiance rippling through her friends. They stood shoulder to shoulder, an unwavering wall of support behind her. "Go home, Troy," one of her friends said, the same confidence that had fueled Emma now flowing through them all, "or face us." As Troy scowled, shifting his weight, Emma felt a glimmer of hope burning steadily within her. But would it hold against whatever came next? What other surprises did Troy have planned, and how would they keep their newfound strength alive when it mattered most? The room grew tense, each moment stretching out like a thin wire ready to snap. Troy's smirk deepened, but Emma's resolve solidified. She squeezed Max closer, feeling the steady rise and fall of his breathing, a rhythm that anchored her against the storm brewing in front of them. Troy stepped forward, his boys flanking him like shadows. "You think you're tough?" he taunted, his voice dripping with bravado. "You're just a scared little girl playing hero with a mutt. What can you possibly do?" Emma's pulse raced, but she held her ground. "I might be scared, but I won't let you bully me or anyone else." The words came out with a strength she didn't know she possessed. Troy chuckled, but it lacked the confidence he tried to project. "You're really going to stand up to me? Just watch what happens if you keep this up." The threat loomed thick in the air, suffocating her moment of bravery. Emma's friends tightened their formation, more than just a collection of bodies, they were a fortress. "You don't scare us, Troy," one of them shouted back. "Just leave. You know we're not afraid anymore." The vet emerged from behind the reception desk, sensing the rising tensions. She glanced over at Emma, a knowing look in her eyes. "All right, what's this all about?" "Nothing, just playing," Troy replied, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. Emma seized the moment. "This isn't just playing, ma'am. Troy is here to mess with us. But we're not going to let him." Officer Harris, alert to the scene unfolding, stood near the door, arms crossed, an emblem of authority and support. He glanced at Emma, pride in his gaze. The other adults in the room started to take notice, whispers and murmurs spreading through the waiting area. The tension began to crackle, shifting from a singular point of confrontation to a community rallying together. Emma felt the warmth of solidarity wrap around her like a protective blanket. She took a breath, resolute. You may think it's weak to care about someone else's feelings, but that makes us stronger. Troy's bravado began to falter, doubt flickering across his expression. You think caring is strength? I'll show you what strength is. Then, out of nowhere, a mother with a toddler approached, her eyes blazing with determination. And I'll show you what caring looks like. She shouted, directly challenging Troy. How dare you come here and intimidate children? You're no stronger than the anger in your heart. Surprised, Troy took a step back. The onlookers started to rally behind Emma and her friends, voices rising in a chorus of defiance. Leave them alone. We stand together. They echoed sentiments of support, creating an environment of collective resistance. Emma's heart swelled as she watched the community rallying. This was more than just about her and Max anymore. It was a stand against cruelty, a unified front pushing back against the shadows of fear, but just as the tide of hope surged, the atmosphere shifted once again. Troy's expression darkened, his voice low and dangerous. You think this is over? This is just the beginning. As he backed away, tension still hung in the air. Emma knew that neither Troy nor the issue were resolved. Chills ran down her spine as she considered the implications of his words. What would happen next? Did this provoke a larger conflict, or had they indeed turned a corner in this battle? With camaraderie surrounding her, she resolved to face whatever came together. The future was uncertain, and as Emma held Max tighter, a sense of determination burned inside her. The fight was far from over, and she was ready for the next challenge. What else would they unveil in the coming days, and could they truly stand against the shadows looming over their lives? The waiting area felt electric, voices blending into a symphony of defiance, yet Emma's heart drummed a steady beat of anxiety. Troy had retreated, but the shadows he cast still lingered. The walls seemed to close in around her, suffused with the lingering threat and uncertainty. As people began to settle, Officer Harris walked toward Emma, his face fierce yet gentle. He knelt down, his presence firm but reassuring. You did well, he said, eyes glinting with admiration and gratitude. Standing up to bullies takes more courage than most people recognize. Emma felt a surge of warmth sweep through her, empowering her to meet his gaze. But what if he comes back? She voiced the fear trembling in her throat. What if we can't stop him? Harris's expression shifted, and there was a seriousness there that made her stomach twist. We'll deal with him. You're not alone in this. Max gave a soft whine, snuggling closer to Emma. His comforting presence offered her a sense of stability, a living reminder that she wasn't the only one standing strong. Suddenly, the vet called out from the reception desk, her tone carrying an unexpected weight. Can I have your attention, everyone? She paused, scanning the faces around the room. I think it's important that we don't let fear hold us back. We're a community, and together we can make a difference. Respectfully, everyone quieted, drawn to her call. Emma felt a flicker of hope bloom anew, flickering softly like a candle held against the darkness. The lady continued, we must ensure this doesn't happen again. Let us organize. Help protect our kids and pets. Cheers erupted, echoing off the walls. An angry chant transformed into a rallying cry. Yes. Together. They rallied not just for themselves but for every child and companion who faced cruelty. That spark igniting within Emma grew into a flame. Together, they could fight back. I know we can do this, guys. She shouted, feeling invincible among her friends. Let us show Troy that he can't win. With newfound energy flowing through her, she could almost visualize the community coming together, holding meetings, building walls of support. But then she caught a glimpse of Troy, lurking at the edge of the parking lot, eyes twinkling with a threatening mischief. He was watching them, studying their unity. Fear gripped her once again. What does he want? Emma whispered to Max, who looked up at her with deep understanding. We've got to make a plan, Officer Harris interjected, breaking her thoughts. We can't take this lightly. We need to stay one step ahead. His voice held a clarity that both comforted and alarmed her. Emma nodded, adrenaline coursing through her veins. Just then, a gust of wind passed through the entrance, filling the space with a sudden chill. Every hair on her body stood on edge, and she sensed that something was shifting, not just within the room, but in the air itself. As her thoughts raced, Emma realized that this was far from over. The fight had just begun. Before she could voice her thoughts, Troy's laughter echoed through the parking lot. You think this will keep me away? The sound was sharp like a knife, cleaving the moment of resolve in two. Emma felt a sinking sensation. The warmth of togetherness began to flicker under the weight of dread. What now? She thought, faced with the daunting reality that a storm was brewing on the horizon. When the stakes were raised, where would the community's spirit lead them? Would they truly be able to piece together a defense strong enough to stand against Troy's inevitable return? As Emma sweated under his gaze, the question loomed larger than ever. Would courage alone be enough to shield them when darkness threatened to spill over? Tension hung in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Emma's heart raced as she locked eyes with Troy. Was he really there to confront them, or was it just a cruel game he played? The laughter that tore through the parking lot was filled with malice, a sinister warning, a dare. Emma, Officer Harris said, firm yet calm, let us gather everyone. His voice cut through the noise, pulling Emma back into a moment of focus. We need to stay united. I want each of you to spread out and encourage people to join this meeting. Max, sensing her nervousness, pressed against her leg, grounding her despite the chaos. She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The calls for action echoed around her, but the shadows of doubt still danced in her mind. What if Troy had come to escalate things? As she joined Officer Harris, a knot formed in her stomach. But what if he does come here? Harris looked at her intently, his expression mixed with assurance and concern. We'll deal with it, just like we did before. We have to give the community a chance to act before fear takes over. Emma nodded, steeling herself for what lay ahead. She looked around. The faces in the waiting area were now filled with determination, fired up by their shared experiences. They were shifting from something passive to something powerful. Listen up, everyone. Emma called out, her voice cracking slightly but growing stronger as she continued. Troy thinks he can scare us into silence. But that's not going to happen. We have each other. Cheers erupted, a wave of unity that surged through her. Let us form a buddy system. If anyone sees Troy, we need to alert each other immediately, someone shouted from the back. Yes. Emma encouraged, feeling waves of momentum building. And we need to keep a record every incident, every fear. We can't let this continue unchecked. Officer Harris nodded, pride shining in his eyes. And I'll make sure the police are informed of everything. They're here to protect you. As people began to disperse and organize, Emma could feel the energy vibrating through the air. Perhaps this was the moment she needed, no longer just an observer in her own story but a vital part of a community that could bring about real change. But then, just as the optimism swelled, Emma's phone buzzed in her pocket. It felt like an electric jolt through her. She took it out, glancing at the screen. A message from an unknown number read, "You think this is over? You couldn't be more wrong. I'll be back." Her heart sank. A cold dread washed over her, extinguishing the warmth that had sparked just moments before. She glanced up at Officer Harris, who had caught her expression. Recognition crossed his face. "Emma?" he asked, concern echoing in his voice. Before she could respond, Troy's menacing figure pushed through the group, smirking at their commotion. What's this? A little party for the week? He taunted, his presence unmistakably darkening the sunlit area. Emma's resolve wavered under his gaze, but as she looked around, she saw familiar faces around her, standing shoulder to shoulder. That flicker of hope reignited. No, she thought, squaring her shoulders. We are not weak. With Troy smirking at them, the fight was far from over, yet something deep within Emma awakened an understanding that courage wouldn't always feel regal. Sometimes, it would simply be the choice to stand tall in the presence of fear and unite against it. Together, she whispered, a mantra only for herself. How could one person's darkness be overpowering when the light of so many stood united? As the shadows closed in, Emma prepared to step forward. Would the community rise up to meet the storm, or would Troy's chaos rip them apart before they had a chance to fight back? Emma stepped forward, her heart thundering in her chest as Troy's sneer widened. He reveled in their fear, a predator basking in the frenzy he stirred up among the crowd. But she wouldn't let him swallow her spirit. Look around, Troy, Emma shouted, her voice gaining strength with each word. We're not alone anymore. The crowd responded with a collective cheer, rallying behind her resolve. Emma could see their eyes filled with hope, determination, and something even more powerful. They had chosen to come together, and together they could withstand anything. Troy's face twisted with anger as outrage seethed beneath his calm exterior. You think this is it? He spat. You think a few loud voices are going to stop me? You're mistaken. The air was thick with tension as Troy stepped closer. Emma's pulse quickened. She wanted to take a step back, to hide behind the safety of Officer Harris, but the warmth of the crowd anchored her, fortifying her stance. They had all suffered at his hands, they all deserved to stand their ground now. Don't let him intimidate you, Officer Harris called out, his solid presence like a lighthouse guiding them through a storm. Fear is a choice. We choose to stand united. Around her, heads nodded, fists clenched, hearts pounding in shared resolve. They were becoming more than a group, they were a movement, a force waiting to push back against Troy's darkness. Emma felt strength surge through her. She was part of something bigger now. Together, we can face that darkness, she urged, her voice stronger. Together, we can take back our space. The words hung in the air, and the effect was electric. More voices joined her, and with each declaration, another layer of fear lifted. It felt like a dam was breaking, pouring forth confidence and unity. But just as hope was flickering to life, Troy unleashed a laugh, chilling and cruel. You'll regret this, he warned, his eyes glinting with a promise of chaos. I have my own way of dealing with problems, and you won't see it coming. Before Emma could rally the energy around her once more, Troy's phone rang. His face changed, tension creeping back into his features. He answered it, and Emma watched as his expression shifted from annoyance to something more serious. Yeah, he growled into the phone, eyes narrowing as he moved a few steps away from the group. Emma caught fragments of the conversation, his voice transforming into a low, harsh whisper that hinted at a larger plan, something brewing just beneath the surface. What is he planning? She thought, panic rising within her. But then she also felt the resolve of the people around her. It was a reminder they were in this together. Keep your eyes open, Officer Harris said quietly to Emma, taking a few steps back to observe Troy. He might try something. As Troy turned, tension filled the air again. Emma swallowed hard, her thoughts racing. They couldn't let fear dictate their actions. She had to do something. Maybe they could turn this around. Emma stepped closer to the officer. What's the police's next move? His brow furrowed slightly. We're going to need a plan. But for now, we need to keep Troy busy while we figure out how to counteract his next move. Emma felt a spark of inspiration hit her. Let us divert his attention, she whispered to Harris, glancing at the crowd. Maybe together they could draw him away, create a distraction. Gathering the energy around her, she faced the crowd again. Everyone. Let us show Troy that we won't be silenced. Let us take back our voices and our territory. The group echoed their agreement, pounding their fists and shouting defiantly. But would it be enough? As they charged ahead, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that this confrontation was only the beginning of something far more dangerous. And hidden in the folds of Troy's smile was the unsettling knowledge that he would stop at nothing to regain control. Emma's heart raced with both fear and a newfound determination. Now she had to prepare for the inevitable clash. The winds of change were stirring, and it was time to face the storm. Head on. Could they outsmart him before he struck again? With that question weighing heavy in the air, Emma tightened her grip on hope, ready to fight with everything she had. The room buzzed with tension, vibrating with the energies of defiance and fear. Emma stood at the front, anchored by determination and supported by her friends and community. They had come together, formed a fierce bond against the shadows of Troy's bullying. But as Troy's menacing presence hung over them, a lingering doubt flickered in Emma's mind. Would their unity be enough to face him? Let us go. Emma shouted, breaking the moment of silence. Taking a step forward, she rallied her friends. We can't let fear control us. Today, we show that standing together is our greatest strength. The energy pulsed through the crowd, fear muted by the strength of their resolve. Officers and parents echoed her urgency, words of encouragement igniting the air with passion. Troy smirked, a dark shadow signaling the tension rising. And what do you think you'll accomplish? You're just kids. You have no idea what I'm capable of. His voice wrapped around the crowd like thick chains, but as he spoke, Emma saw his bravado falter, unclear and unstable. We know exactly what you're capable of. Emma shot back. And that's why we won't back down. We are stronger than you think. The crowd cheered. A wave of empowerment flowed through her, and she gestured for everyone to close ranks, creating a united front. Officer Harris approached, taking a leading stance beside Emma. Fear ends today. Together, we will push back against bullying and make our community safe. His voice penetrated the weight in the air, lifting spirits and affirming solidarity. With each passing second, Emma sensed the atmosphere shift. Troy's confidence was melting, the doubt creeping into his eyes as faces filled with resolve surrounded him. They were not alone anymore, they had allies, and they all stood for something greater than themselves. Emma clenched her fists, heart pounding, ready to confront whatever Troy had planned. Silencing the noise in her mind, she called out again, "This is our town. Our community. And we will protect it. If you try to hurt us again, we will stand together stronger than before." Suddenly, Troy scoffed, the trace of concern fading into bravado. "You think this is over? You think you can just ignore me?" He stepped back, scanning their faces as if searching for chinks in their armor. Emma could practically see the gears working in his mind, calculating his next move, feeling the shift in the room, the community's warmth wrapping around her. Emma took a deep breath. This was not just a battle for herself or Max. It was a fight for every child feeling small, every underdog yearning to be heard. They deserved this, and so did she. With the support of her friends, Emma moved closer to Troy, refusing to give him the power he thrived on. "You can't bully us. We will rise above your threats and hate, because we know that kindness is our true strength." And there it was. The moment of realization in Troy's face, the slight flicker of uncertainty, twisting of his lips, the weight of his own actions settling in. The crowd buzzed with renewed energy, chanting words of unity. Just then, Max, who had been resting at her feet, sat up and let out a soft bark, the sound piercing through the static air. It felt like a call, an anchor for everyone present, a reminder of why they were fighting. Officer Harris chimed in, "Bullying won't just fade away. It takes a community, everyone united under the banner of kindness to stand up against it." They could almost see the ripple of change spreading, a realization that strength lies not in domination but in support, in standing together. "Let us gather strength together," Emma urged, her eyes shining with determination. to combat fear with hope. Let us build each other up instead of tearing each other down. Troy, now visibly unnerved, took a hasty step back. Yeah, right. This isn't over, he muttered, but the confidence he'd once held began to dissolve, leaving behind nothing but a shadow of his former self. As Troy withdrew, the gathered crowd erupted into cheers. Every voice blended into a harmonious chorus of hope and unity that echoed through the parking lot. We stand together. We stand strong. Emma turned to her friends, hearts pounding not in fear, but in victory. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. Officer Harris smiled at her, pride reflecting in his eyes. You did it, Emma. This is a start. The community is with you, always. As they turned away from the confrontation with Troy, Emma felt a lightness in her chest. They had faced the storm together, and though there would likely be more challenges ahead, the foundation they had built was unshakable. With Max at her side and her friends rallying close, Emma held her head high. They had proven that courage existed in unity, and together, they could take on any challenge life threw their way. The shadows might return, but now, they were equipped with the courage derived from a community built on love, strength, and undeniable grit. As they walked back into the warmth of their town, Emma felt emboldened. They were ready for anything. And this was just the beginning. Now, adventurous reader, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to catch the next captivating story that will inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, so more people can share in this journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. You matter in this community, and don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Join the movement. Your voice counts.